Hi, I'm Lisa Curcio, and I would love to welcome you here to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make the best fan card ever, and you don't need to use dies. So no dies are necessary. Just break out your paper trimmer, a ruler, or scissors, and we're going to make this fun card together. Now, you may hear me use the word arrow while I'm describing the pieces to put this fan card together, and I'm simply doing it just because of the shape. You're going to be able to find all the pictures, the cutting dimensions, and the supplies, not only for the card that I'm going to demonstrate for you this evening, but for two other samples as well. That project sheet is going to be linked down in the video description below when tonight's premiere is all over. While you're over on my website, make sure you scroll to the bottom too and you sign up for my free weekly e-newsletter so I can keep you in the know about promotions and of course keep you inspired. Now, if you are here for the premiere, I want to make sure you know all about signing into your YouTube account so that we can chat with you during tonight's premiere. You'll find Gina and I here in the live chat with you, and we would love to interact with you and answer your questions live. Now, in addition to the products I'm going to be using that can be found in my online store, there are some products that won't be in my online store, and I'll refer to them as my craft room favorites. These are beloved tools that I use here in the studio that aid me with my paper crafting, and so many of you have asked about them that I've linked them for you on my website under Shop Craft Room Favorites. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to our YouTube channel members. You'll recognize them because they have a crown in front of their name here in the comments or in the live chat. They support Lisa's Stamp Studio for just 99 cents a month. In exchange, we give them those custom badges. They have a custom emojis. In addition to that, they have the opportunity to buy exclusive merchandise that we have designed. Click the join button down below the video for more information. All right, we're ready. Let's get started on this best fan fold cards without any dies. This fun fold card is going to be comprised of several pieces, and we're going to work through them step by step. I'm going to recommend that the very first time that you make this card, that you make it out of scrap cardstock and designer series papers, that you have a template to follow. It's going to make it easier for you in the long run and make it super easy for you to replicate this in the future. The base of the card is measuring 7 inches by 10 inches. When finished, this is going to be a 5 by 7 card for which many of you have been asking me to create. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to score it in half. Now, my paper trimmer includes both a scoring and a cutting blade. They navigate up and down out of the way, which means I can keep them on the clear track at the exact same time. We're going to navigate this to the halfway mark, which is 5 inches, and then we are going to score. I'm going to keep my cardstock in the trimmer because I'm also going to use this as a ruler. Now, if you don't have a clear cutting guide and an open track for a pencil, by all means use a ruler. But I need a 2-inch mark. I'm going to slide this to the 2-inch mark. Instead of making the tick mark at the top, I'm going to make it at the bottom, and that'll make more sense to you in just a minute. I'm going to make it kind of dark so that you can see it. What we're going to do now is we are going to cut from the top of this tick mark all the way down to the corner, the point here. Now I'm going to make another mark here just to make it easy for you to follow along with me from home. Again, this is where that clear cutting guide is a real champ. So I can go ahead and close the arm to my trimmer, and I'm going to navigate my pencil mark here at the top and here at the bottom, so they're going to fall inside the track. Once that's set up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to slice. Save this piece. I love this craft pencil. The lead is very, very soft. The eraser is a champ. It's one of my craft room favorites. So you can go over to my website under Shop Craft Room Favorites and you'll find it there. And of course, I'm going to go over that with my bone folder for that nice crisp crease. Our next step now is to work on the layer in the designer series paper for this area. The layer is going to measure 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. Please remember, I have a template and all the cutting dimensions and supplies and photos for you in that free project sheet that will be available when tonight's premiere is all over. With my cutting blade out of the way, we're going to measure again. Along the 4 3/4 inch side here at the top, I am going to mark this at 2 3/4 of an inch. So again, I'm just using this as a ruler. And I'll put my pencil right inside there and I'm going to make a mark. Just like we've done, we're going to cut from the top to the bottom on all the pieces that we're going to do. I'm going to line this up in my clear trimmer once again, aligning that pencil mark and the tip, and then I'm going to cut. Do not throw this away because we are going to trim this down so it's going to fit on that other piece we just cut. All you have to do now on the straight side on the right is I want you to cut off 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to line that up here on my trimmer, and I'm just going to trim this away. This piece is garbage. Remember the piece here that we saved from the front? This now is also going to fit here. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. I've just erased the pencil mark. I'm just going to show you how this is going to fit here. Now let's work on the designer series paper. The designer paper measures 4.5 by 6.5. And we're going to mark it this time at the 2.5-inch mark. So I'm going to line up that 4.5-inch edge here at the top. And I'm going to close that clear cutting guide. And I'm going to mark it at 2.5 inches. Just like we've done before, we are going to cut from that top mark down to the corner. I'm going to close the clear cutting guide. I'm going to make sure my pencil mark is within the cutting track, aligning the bottom tip here, and then I'm going to cut. This piece now, just like before, is going to fit here perfectly. This piece now, you'll remember how we trimmed down the pink one? We're going to trim this down as well. But this time we're going to trim off 1/2 inch on this straight side to the right. So I'm going to line that up, and then I'm going to cut. This piece now is garbage. And these other pieces that I have here, you'll see where this piece is going to fit. But we need one more arrow, and that's the next thing we're going to work on. This piece is going to be the same color as the base of your card. So in my case, it's pool party. This measures 4 by 6. This is so easy. You're just going to cut on an angle. So we're going to open this up, and we are going to cut it diagonally from the top left to the bottom right. So I'm going to angle it here on my paper trimmer, close that clear cutting guide, and I'm just making sure my points are inside the track, and we are going to slice. You are going to keep the right side that you cut. This obviously can be inverted and then used for another card or saved for another project. So here's the first piece. The layer, which is the pink, is 3.5 by 5.5. And you guessed it, we're going to cut it on an angle from the top left to the bottom right. Again, lining that up inside my paper trimmer's tracks to make it super easy for me. And then we're going to slice. Again, we're going to save the right side, which is going to fit here. Again, if you're making 2 cards, you can go ahead and invert this and use this for the second card or for another project. The designer series paper's next, but I decided to change it up. This beautiful Mercury vellum is while supplies last. Now, at the time of filming this, this was still available as a last chance product. If it's no longer available, don't sweat it. Substitute this to go with your designer series papers that you're working with, but you're going to want a different pattern versus the ones we just used. You can even use gold foil. 3 by 5 is this piece, and guess what? We're going to do an angle, top left, bottom right. Now, vellum can be persnickety sometimes, so you're going to want to make sure, A, that your blade is sharp to be able to go through both of those points. If it's not, I want to teach you how to anchor your blade. You're going to lift your cutting track and move your blade to a position that's more in the center of the paper, away from those fine tips. And then you're going to slice up and slice down. That will keep those little tips from getting crunched up. You can see now the top right piece is going to fit beautifully here. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet for this next step because we're going to start by putting these together. I'm going to work from the bottom up. So I'm going to start with my pool party here, and I'm going to turn my pink upside down, make sure you're going in the correct direction. I'm using my precision glue press. Cannot live without this. It lays a very light layer of glue. I can get it all the way down to those tips, making my life easy. And of course, liquid glue is going to allow you to manipulate the cardstock a little bit left and right. It comes with a fantastic stand. You'll see that pink plunger down at the bottom, which comes into contact with the tip, which means it's never going to clog. Here's my vellum piece. And for this, I'm going to bring in my precision tweezers, and I absolutely love those as well. They extend my reach while making sure my fingers stay out of the way of any glue. Really important when you've got small projects. Now, you might be concerned with vellum that this is going to show, but you can see how light the layer of glue is. And because the vellum has a mercury finish, or perhaps you're using one with a pattern, it's really not going to show when it dries. So just keep that in mind. Okay, we're going to lay this arrow off to the side. And we're going to come now to the small one that we created. And we are going to do the exact same thing with these pieces that we just did with the other one. You can see that they're getting more narrow. So I'm going to go ahead and use my precision glue press as well as those precision needle tip tweezers. These 2 products are linked for you on my website under Shop, Craft Room Favorites. Again, you're going to manipulate this to make sure you have a nice layered border. It is not going to come all the way to the bottom, so don't think you've done something wrong. That will make more sense when we're all finished. I do recommend designer series paper that does not have a direction. That's going to make it a lot easier for you. But once you've made one or two of these, you're going to be able to get a little bit more proficient with this, and you can get fancy with directional paper as well. This is going to be the same thing. You're going to want to maneuver this to have a layer, and you're going to notice that the designer paper doesn't come all the way down to the bottom, and that's totally fine. Now we're here to the card base. Let's go ahead and let's open this up so it's flat to make it easier for us, and let's work on the pink piece by adding our glue. That now will get layered and centered here. Finally, the piece of designer series paper, we're going to flip that over and add our glue as well, and that will get centered here. Now, before we go much farther, you're probably wondering, well, what are we going to do for the inside? Well, obviously, you can put a white layer here and call it done, but I want to give you another idea because I want to teach you how to layer the inside as well. I'm going to use a piece of the pink cardstock here. This is pretty and pink, but obviously I'm not going to want to sign or write on top of that. I mean, I could, but I would prefer white. Let's start by adhering this. Again, we're going to add our glue, and that'll get centered here on the inside of the card base. The inside is measuring 4.5 by 6.5, and just like we've done before, we're going to make a mark and cut on that angle. I'm coming back here to the paper trimmer, and we are going to mark this at 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to use this again as a ruler, and I'm going to make a pencil mark here at the top. I made it kind of dark so you can see it. We're going to cut from the top to the bottom right. I'm going to line this up in my trimmer, making sure my pencil mark is in the track, and the tip is falling in the track as well here. And then all we're going to do is we're going to slice. Now, while we have the inside piece, now would be the time to stamp it and decorate it, which we're going to do very, very quickly because I'm using the Wildflower Birthday Designer Series paper, which includes beautiful colored laser cut pieces, which is going to make this super simple. I'm using the Happiest Day stamp set for this birthday greeting right here. I did not want to use black ink, so I'm going to go over to basic gray, which I think goes nicely with that nice pink, and I'm going to ink that up. That now will get stamped here near the top. Now there's a wide variety of pieces in the laser cuts, and you do get duplicates of all the pieces that are in there. This one's going to be slightly different than the one inside your project sheet, but I'm just going to do a little collaging here at the bottom. So here on the piece of gold foil leaf, which is already pre-cut and decorated for me, you gotta love that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach those gold leaves here just to create a little bit of a small ensemble. Now you can use a dimensional if you'd like, but I'm going to leave the inside nice and flat, and I'm going to go ahead and add some of my glue with my precision glue press. This now is going to go here near the bottom. Coming back here to the inside of the card base, we are going to flip this upside down and we're going to add more glue. This now is going to get adhered here to the left-hand side, leaving that nice little border on those three sides and your angle on the right. When you close the front of the card, you're going to see that the white panel is perfectly hidden because of the measurements we created for the angle cut. Now let's go ahead and put the arrow together, and I can show you how to decorate it as well as the other samples I have to share with you. The largest of the arrows is going to work first. You're going to take this tip and you're going to line it up here in the bottom corner of the card. You want to make sure that the top tip does not extend past the top of the card, otherwise you're going to have trouble getting it in your envelope. You're also going to want to be cognizant of the fact that whatever you use to adhere this, you don't place adhesive right here at the top. So if you don't trust yourself, let me give you a tip because I've done it different ways. I'm going to hold it in place and I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to trace right here. That's going to indicate to me that I should not be placing any adhesive above the line so that when I go to place this on here, it's going to measure up perfectly. Now there's several things you can do. You can use liquid glue, but in my case, I wanted to elevate this. Now I've got other samples again to share with you. So I'm going to flip this upside down. Now there are both mini dimensionals and full-size dimensionals, which are going to work great for this project. Mini dimensionals are going to work great here at the bottom, but you're going to see there's a small section here. So all I did was I took my scissors and I cut them in half while they're here on the paper backing to make them even smaller. So I can pick up just half and I can fit one of those down here at the tip so this doesn't lift. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to equally distribute these among the rest of this area along the outside edge. I'm making sure not to put them too close, and I am going to separate them by maybe an inch apart. Make sure that you brace the center of this arrow as well. Now what we're going to do is remove the paper backings, and I'm using my Take Your Pick tool. Not only does it have a putty tip on one side, which is fantastic to pick up those sequins in small pieces, but this paper piercing tool attachment is great to remove those small paper backings. I'm going to place my fingers up here above that pencil line, and I'm going to maneuver now the card. So the bottom tip is going to come here to the corner of the card, and I'm very lightly going to let go because if I need to make any changes, I can. I am well within my pencil line, which is perfect. Nothing's going to show. I'm going to take my eraser now, and I'm going to erase any visible line from the back. Once our first arrow is in place, now we're going to work on the second arrow. Again, you have an option of just gluing it, or in my case, I'm going to use dimensionals once again. I want to line this up so that this is going to be centered over the first one we just placed. You want to make sure that your tips are going to come close together. And again, you can go ahead and make a line if you'd like, or you can just place your hand there. So I'm going to draw a pencil line to make it easier for you. And I know I have to work below that pencil line. So just like we've done before, I'm going to use one of those half-size pieces of dimensionals down here near the bottom of the tip. And then I'm going to start to fill in below the pencil line. Once I have those all in place, we'll go ahead and remove those paper backings. We'll come back here to the front of the card, and I'm going to line up these two tips together, centering this panel over the one we just placed. You're going to see I'm trying to get equal space here on either side. Before I press too hard, I'm going to check. Do you see how I have one that's really kind of close here near the top? Let's do a little bit of card surgery. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase my pencil line. If I'm concerned it's going to show, I can take my Take Your Pick tool, and I literally can push the foam of the dimensional in so it's going to be less obtrusive. And you can see that little tip just worked perfectly. So now nothing is visible from the inside. But how do you decorate this without taking away from this beautiful focal point? I've got some ideas for you. This next step I did ahead of time because I really wanted to focus on the cutting, but I used the linked together bundle. This is really something I may have overlooked the first time I saw it, but I have fallen in love with it because I love this lattice die cut. I love the oval and this really unusual diamond shape, as well as some solid dies here. These greetings are going to fit inside these shapes, which is what I did ahead of time. But to pick up the gold, I heat embossed it with gold embossing powder, and I used the oval die. I'm going to flip this upside down, and I'm going to place some dimensionals here on the back side. I want this well balanced for mailing. I've removed the paper backings, and I'm going to concentrate on this area now down here at the bottom of the card, the bottom right. Now you can work in other places, even here at the top if you choose, but I'm going to use this corner. I thought this was nice, but it was a little bit plain, so I went back to those beautiful color laser cut pieces, and I pulled out some other pieces here that were already finished for me. So let's go ahead and let's lay this out first before we start sticking things, because if you're like me, we get excited and then we realize it's not where we wanted it. So I'm going to go ahead and take my flower. I'm going to grab one of my full-size dimensionals and I'm going to add it to the center back side. And I'm going to manipulate it so it won't cover my words, but I'm staying within the perimeter of the angle of the card. I was thinking about where I could put the leaves without obstructing my view of this beautiful fold. So I'm going to place them in two places. I'm going to place one down here so that angle is still going to show. And I'm going to place the smaller one from those die cuts up here. You can still see the angle peeking through, but it brings your eye from this fold down. I'm going to use the tweezers for this. And I'm going to place a little bit of liquid glue here at the bottom back side. This now is going to slide up underneath here. I'm going to do the exact same thing now with this one. And this one is going to go up here. I'm going to give those a good push so they'll be in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger and just slightly curl that paper so it's got a little bit of movement to it. No card is finished without an embellishment, and there's some perfect spots for them on this beautiful card. I'm using these party dots, and I'm going to use the pool party ones because I think we've got enough of the pink being played up. I'm going to use one of the larger ones here at the top. I'm going to place a smaller one on an angle below it. I'm going to take one more of my large ones, and I'm going to move that down here past the greeting. Now you can put it here if you'd like, but I'm going to move it here to the designer series paper. I find that using odd numbers is very, very appealing to the eye. But look at this card. Isn't this stunning? And it wasn't difficult. Again, you're going to need a 5x7 envelope, which you can use with the envelope punch board that you'll find in my craft room favorites. But let me show you those other cards as well. My next card is going to be using the Tags of Thanks stamp set for the inside of my card. And the outside is using this amazing hybrid embossing folder and dies. So what it does is it actually die cuts the embossed greeting. And you'll see there's a bunch of different ones here. And here is the card I created. This beautiful designer series paper is black and white and it's called Botanical Textures. And I love it because it is not gender specific. Will make great masculine cards. Black and white is timeless. It'll never go out of style. I'm hoping the camera is going to pick this up. So it's embossed as well as die cut. I did layer it for some emphasis. Use some die cuts here in the back to simply play up my corner. These beautiful sparkle gems are going to add a little pizzazz here to the top corner. But guess what? I didn't even have to layer the inside because I chose the white, unlike this card. So I just made sure that I traced my angles so that I didn't stamp my greeting too far over where it would be seen, and then just added some die cut pieces that I thought would coordinate with the theme of my card. But I have one more for you. This next one is going to use Sentimental Park as well as the Wanted to Say dies. Now, one thing I love about these dies is not only are you going to get the greeting, but you're going to get the outline that the greeting can be layered on if you choose. Here's the card I made. This uses the Everyday Happiness Designer Series paper, really pretty. But do you see what I did here? Unlike the other cards where I used a very similar color with my layers, I opted for a third color, which brings in that beautiful subtle gray tone here in my leaves for the back portion of my card. I used those dies unlayered and laid them out individually that fit perfectly inside the corner. The low profile dots add a little bit of pizzazz to the simple card. And again, on the inside, very much like this one, I created the angle, but I used a scrap piece of designer series paper here versus stamps or, of course, laser cut pieces or dies. So you've got lots of ideas. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Do me a favor right now, in the comments below, let me know which one of these is your favorite. I love reading your comments. Thank you so much for your feedback. It's actually very important for me as I design new projects for you. As a reminder, you're going to want to grab that free project sheet, link down in the video description for you below. There's also a template in there for you. If you love cards, you are going to love Stamp Studio memberships. I designed these cards and they come directly to your inbox at 9 a.m. Eastern Time every single Monday. And there's 2 levels. Level 1 is $5 a month and it guarantees a new tutorial every Monday morning. There are step-by-step instructions, pictures, cutting dimensions, and supplies. And the best part is those photos and the tutorial are not watermarked, so you are welcome to share them with others. But if you're looking for a little bit more, then level 2 is for you. It includes everything in level 1, but also includes a monthly fun fold card idea in a tutorial format with photos. In addition to that, everybody in level 2 is entered into a monthly product prize giveaway, and I offer an exclusive discount for my PDF tutorial library for everybody in level 2. We would love to have you join us at Stamp Studio Memberships. You'll find all the information over on my website in the red menu bar titled Memberships. If you've enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and click the thumbs up button here on YouTube. It is a like and it helps us immensely. In addition to that, if this is your first time visiting or perhaps you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button and the word all so that YouTube will send you reminders when I share new content. I am so glad that you were here with me today. I hope to see you next time. Have a great day.